The Gruul clans are a wild people in a civilized land, a loose affiliation of bands that squat on the fringes of Ravnican society. They shun the centers of civilization, which they see as a source of oppression and weakness, and instead hunt Ravnica's alleyways, abandoned zones, and ruins. They want to see the edifice of civilization torn down so the world can revert to a pure wilderness that thrived before the city grew to cover everything. Then, the true order of nature can be restored, an unbridled and brutal state in which only the strong survive and the strongest rule. These are the Gruul clans. Rules, keywords, and mechanics. My name is Jared. I am a level 1 judge, and this is TMMTG. Bloodrush. Bloodrush is an ability word introduced in Gatecrash for the Gruul clans. A creature card with Bloodrush has the ability to be discarded in order to give an attacking creature a temporary power and toughness boost equal to the power and toughness of the discarded creature card, along with any combat-related abilities that creature had. The bonus for each Bloodrush ability is tied to the power, toughness, and other abilities of the creature card with Bloodrush. For example, Wasteland Viper will give the attacking creature Death Touch, since Wasteland Viper also has Death Touch. And, since this is an ability of the card being discarded, it is not an actual spell being cast, so casting Counterspell won't affect it. However, this ability can be stifled. Bloodthirst. Bloodthirst is a static ability. Bloodthirst N means, if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this permanent enters the battlefield with N +1/+1 counters on it. Bloodthirst X is a special form of Bloodthirst. Bloodthirst X means, this permanent enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the total damage your opponents have been dealt this turn. If an object has multiple instances of Bloodthirst, each will apply separately. Bloodthirst checks for any kind of damage, including combat damage. Life loss that isn't caused by damage, for example, Anguished Unmaking, doesn't cause a creature with Bloodthirst to get counters, but damage from a source with Infect, such as Blighted Agent, does, even though it doesn't cause loss of life. It doesn't matter who controlled the source of the damage dealt to your opponent. If an opponent was dealt damage by a source they controlled, such as Mana Barbs, creatures with Bloodthirst that enter the battlefield under your control later that turn will get +1/+1 counters. The creature with Bloodthirst enters the battlefield with the +1/+1 counters already on it. For example, Burning Tree Bloodscale. If an opponent was dealt damage this turn, it will enter as a 3/3, not a 2/2. Riot. Riot is a static ability. Riot means, you may have this permanent enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. If you don't, it gains haste. If a permanent has multiple instances of Riot, each will work separately. Riot is also a replacement effect. Players can't respond to your choice of +1/+1 counter or haste, and they can't take actions while the creature is on the battlefield without one or the other. If a creature entering the battlefield has Riot, but can't have a +1/+1 counter put onto it, it will gain haste. If you choose for the creature to gain haste, it gains haste indefinitely. It won't lose it as the turn ends, or as another player gains control of it. If a creature enters the battlefield with 2 instances of Riot, you may choose to have it get 2 +1/+1 counters, 1 +1/+1 counter and haste, or 2 instances of haste. Multiple instances of haste on the same creature are redundant, but it allows the Gruul to send a strong message to its opponents. The entire world of Ravnica is a sprawling metropolis, but the Gruul are natives to the wild areas that still exist. The abandoned districts, the rubble belts, the overgrown parks, and the crumbling ruins. They are part of a savage society that clings desperately to the old ways, attuned to nature, full of primal rage, and given short shrift by a world consumed by continuing civilization's march of progress. Not Gruul? Then die.